Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, team. Okay, everyone. Chalo, let's start the day with some deep breaths. Breathe in, inhale, exhale. Good morning, all. Srija, Panyam, Golu, Asif. Good morning, Sneha, Shubham, Saurav, Saritha. Okay, inhale deep and slow from your nose, exhale from your mouth. And breathe out, relax. Okay, so starting fresh Monday morning, breathe in, breathe out. Inhale and exhale. Breathe in, breathe out. Inhale and exhale. Rub your palms against each other. Roll it over your face. Okay. So before we get started with anything, let's perform 2 minutes of Anulom Vilom. So the morning, fresh, peaceful air, more oxygen supply gets focused on the brain with Anulom Vilom. It's really making our brain healthy. Okay. So chalo, let's go. Okay, so take a deep breath and exhale. And breathe out. Relax, breathe in, breathe out. And inhale and exhale. Okay, ठीक है team. Chalo, let's get started for the day. Okay, I'm sharing my screen, everyone. Now, there are a few things. So as part of this morning, we are trying to focus on some of the very crucial aspects required for success. Okay, and anything that we do in our life is going to be basically a subset of all this morning success related activities. And those who are very highly successful in the world, they know these things, they do these things, and these things take time. Okay, so it's not just in one day something happens. Like, you have to do it for years together, with lot of ups and downs. Consistency is required, somewhat experimentation is required, somehow adaptation to your life is required. And more importantly, there will be a very big difference between who you are right now and who you will become in future with these systems, with these success principles. That means a human being, as a human being, you will evolve. Okay, in terms of your belief system, in terms of your thought process, in terms of your ability to, like, work towards problem solving, everything will change in you. And somewhere that is because, yeah, in the past we did not think like this, we did not act like this, and all of a sudden when we consume this way of successful living, we will change as a person. Okay, and that's very much required. It's a good way of living a very great kind of life, so you will find that. And it will take some time, but eventually it will happen, and we have time, right? So we are right now in our 20s, let's say majority, I think almost every one of you might be in your 20s, so we have time. But the point is, the sooner we master all this, it's going to be good in our future. Okay, so as part of last week, we focused like, yeah, 5 days. So mostly we will touch 5 successful topics this week also. And then by that we will, there are many things to be done, but we'll try to focus on only 5 topics till this thing. And after that, next week onwards, we'll just do basic meditation and trying to have a routine. But you will have 5 success topics being discussed this week as well, like Monday to Friday. And let's a quick recap, okay, what we discussed last week. Okay, first we discussed all 24 hours needs to be utilized effectively. Okay, yeah, that was the first thing: the morning, the work time, the evening, and the last one. Okay, so that's one core area which we discussed. Next, second, we digged down more into the morning routine section, okay, where we launched lifesavers and 20-20-20 rule. Okay, then we came up with list of activities like silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, Scrabble, journaling, and this 20-20 rule also, like exercise, then Scrabble here, reading and skill upgrade here, so something like that. Okay, so what are the activities during the morning section which will have add more value to our lives? Okay, that we covered. Next, we discussed on high performance and productivity. Okay, so as part of that, we discussed multiple facts, some core reasons like having high level of energies, and then some techniques of by which we can get more results out of the day, like Pomodoro technique is there, and multiple other rules of high productivity. Okay, like think fast, and then eat the frog first technique, take it once and finish it technique, 5 second rule. So try to recollect. The point is, just awareness is the step one, and then comes, that's the beginning. Okay, how do you merge all these things into your life? Okay, but yes, slowly, steadily, if you constantly keep thinking, okay, these things, if you constantly keep thinking and trying to adapt into our daily life, then over a period of time you will find changes. Okay, so just knowing it, say, you will just forget about it in 2 weeks, that's it. Because if you're not actively thinking, you will just lose that information, and then your life will be back to normal. So that is where you're doing good thing by daily joining, so that we can revise, refocus, rebuild, and then gradually our personality starts evolving. Okay, so that's what it's a daily, some, and then the mind starts thinking different, acting different, and something like that. Okay, so chalo, that was we covered on third day. And then fourth day, okay, we spoke about evening time, but rather than touching evening time, our primary focus was key. There were 8 pillars of success, right? The financial knowledge, family, friends, entertainment. Okay, so like that, there were multiple rules of success. So we discussed each of those areas as well. Okay, now, and on the last day, we touched into the sleep routine. On the fifth day, we touched into sleep routine. So try to have a look at all of these areas, and one by one we will try to apply really into our lives. Okay. And one thing here, I am again sharing it to the point. When we touch the 8 routines, here it is what? Okay. Financial aspect, personality aspect, health aspect, family relationships, knowledge, spiritual, fun, entertainment, giving back to society. So every year we should accomplish something in each of this area. That is how we will feel more fulfilled in our life. Okay, otherwise we are living it under. Like we could live a better version of our lives, but somewhere because of whatever reasons we are under living. So this will be the conclusion there. And these are some of the rules for high performance which we discussed. Here it comes. Productivity and high performance. This is what it is. So Pomodoro system, I would already recommend ki daily start doing it. So for example, देखो, uh, Pomodoro tracker in my laptop, I always have that tracker open, and whenever I start the day, I start by clicking a start on that. And all throughout the day, I try to keep running multiple Pomodoros so that my focus stays there on the work that I want to finish. You can apply this for any kind of work, basically. Okay? And then for the rules we discussed. Now, fine. All that. Just a quick recap here about what we discussed last week. But it's a lot of information, but yeah, we have to get it into our lives. Okay, sounds good. Now, as part of this week, there are multiple topics for every day. Again, these are habits of like high success, and gradually we have to apply each of these habits. Okay, so what these topics will be one by one, day by day, we will start opening more into it. But as of today, okay, देखो, I will be focusing on one very crucial habit. देखो, you might have heard definitely about it. We spoke something about week one on this, but let's not overlook the power of book reading. Okay, and I want to tell you, share with you some very key personal aspects, incidents in my life, which changed my perspective towards this, and it happened to me. That is where I changed. Okay, if it did not happen, those incidents would not have come, because we heard that book reading is required and everybody, like all the CEOs do it, and we know a lot about it. But there were some incidents which happened in my life which like made me to do it. And since past 5 years, I'm continuously always reading books, upgrading my knowledge. So I changed. Okay, since past 5 years, I'm a different person than who I was throughout my life. So that's a big difference. So I want to really give you that insights to you also, what really made me change and what were these instances. Okay. Now, देखो, point is guys ki with regards to books, we all know ki yes, it is required. Uh, yes, it makes us think different. So just one thing you need to understand. Logic. Just think along with me. So far, humanity has lived for a pretty long time. Before even 21st century came, there were other kind of people, and they were very great people on the planet, right? They were extraordinary people. Okay, right now, you and me, we don't need to really understand how electricity works in order to take benefit of electricity. Like for us, what it is, it's like just turning the switch on and we get light. But people designed a way of developing that light, passing through wire, that current, and this communication. Like we can just read about it in theory, but making this possible, that's magic, basically what we are seeing on the planet. We are there right now on a Zoom call, you at your place, just connected in this beautiful world. Now that's amazing. Okay, if you really think about it, it's extraordinary. If it is about we have to develop all these things from scratch, it's pretty hard, right? It's not that simple. And once I was just wondering ki, how this time would have come into the world. Ki somebody thought of measuring how the day passes, right? Otherwise, before what, like just mornings, evenings, living. But somebody came up with an idea ki we should measure how the time is passing. And then came all the systems of like, okay, 24 hours, and then minutes, seconds, and then agreeing upon that, okay, 12 renge, 24 renge. Somebody designed all those things, okay, maybe centuries ago. And that's amazing stuff. Like humanity has evolved like anything, and that's magical. And somehow the entire world follows it. That's even amazing. Like, pata nahi, how many years ago all these things happened, and now if you explore in history, you will find something. But just wanting to tell you, it's an interesting human life. We just get an amazing facts just ready made, and we don't really get amazed by it, but it's really very good. Okay, so how humanity has grown to this. Now the point to be told is ki, in the end we are all human beings. Whether you take like maybe 500 years ago, they were human beings, and we are all the same emotional beings always. Okay, ego, desire, and wanting to do not do, laziness, we are just the same over a period of time as well. Okay, as human beings. So you need to understand one thing. How does an internet is now in our times, okay, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, what before that? So all these history and all, so they have like on caves and like ancient books, like papers and like those kind of materials. It was pretty good, like how kings used to maintain their own library, on what kind of paper they used to write. I was reading about that. So they were like all their times learning, they used to write it on some different material, then they used to bake that piece of like leaf, so that it can last for like hundreds of years, put some or like material on top of it, something for so that the leaf's life actually broadens. So what kuch tha, okay. But just wanting to tell you ki, even if we consider a few hundred years ago, right, I guess once this paper was invented and all these things, other things came, then actually the knowledge transition started happening. But otherwise previously all different tha, right? But how previous century gave something to this new century, and how they have been doing since past a few hundred years, is with the power of books. And there is a very simple thought, right? Why do you want to start from scratch? If we, our generation, wanted to start from scratch, we would have to rebuild electricity, rebuild technology, and that's like we will never be able to move forward in our lives. Right? So we have to continue from where we are. And point is, even human knowledge is supposed to advance to that level, right? So just because the world has given technology and framework, so we are using it and we are able to enjoy. But what happened to your and mine knowledge levels? If we don't carry forward what the previous few years have done, hundreds of years have done, basically you will again keep reinventing the same problems and same solutions which has already been figured out in the past, right? We all are emotional, we have our egos, we have aggression, we have this problem, that problem, time management problem, and a lot of other things. We need to understand, thousands of years have passed. There are people who might have faced everything what we are going through. Yeah, technology changed, but basically it's all the same thing. There is a problem, there is a solution. That's it. There is a mindset, there is an attitude, there is a consistency, a commitment, okay, a focus. Core principles are always same, right? Big kingdoms were there with huge empires. Alexander the Great, his stories were there. Look, the basic always remains the same. The point is, if we don't spend time to figure that kind of learnings of the past, you know, world has already gone ahead of where we are right now, long time ahead. And even if we don't do scientific inventions, but humanity evolved way beyond where we are right now. And all of this knowledge बहुत आगे चले गई है. Great amazing scholars, right? Shakespeare, Socrates, and like amazing people of the past. And where we are is here. पता नहीं, here also or below the screen somewhere. So just understand the way technology is taking it forward, centuries by centuries, few things advancing and stuff like that. If you take same responsibility for your knowledge level, then you will be able to advance to the next level. Without that, you are again starting from the behind itself, and by the end of this life of 80 years, 90 years, you will end up maybe exploring less than what Socrates was, less than what Shakespeare was, because they were extraordinary people of the past. Okay, now that is where comes the realization, how do you advance your knowledge? And they have done deep thinking for throughout their life, and then did lot of conclusions. So if you want to go forward than those people, okay, the success of the past and all that, it's all available in the books. But the beauty of life is it's optional. Book reading is optional. Okay, nobody's forcing us. Like, that's what it is. It's optional. Okay, and 80% of the world is making choice to not gain that kind of knowledge. Okay, that makes a big opportunity for those who want to succeed, like you and me, waking up in the morning 6:30 wanting success. So that's opportunities. We want something different, and I think we deserve to belong in the top 20% of the world, because others will not. Now point is, when we have that attitude towards learning something big, so you cannot disregard the past hundreds of years of knowledge. Otherwise, you will not go forward. You will not go forward. Okay, now let's know this. Since past 5 years, I'm continuously consuming knowledge. Okay, books repeatedly. Maybe same books I have completed 10 times. Repeatedly, repeatedly, repeatedly. Why? Because I'm trying to change my brain. That's what I'm trying to do right now. The thoughts which never came for the past, let's say 25, 30 years of my life, I want to change that. I want to change my perspective, the way I look at the world. So I keep continuously listening, thinking, analyzing, changing my way of, and it's possible for everyone, because I got that self-awareness what I should do with my life. And that's what trying to share it with you. And the point is, now this is an interesting catch. This change will not happen in one day. Okay? Dekho, if I have spent 5 years doing this, and then whatever we are speaking right now in the evening classes, in this morning related session, it is after a lot of years and thinking, and somehow something changed, and then we are doing these sessions. Now you need to understand, nobody can bridge this time. Okay, what does this mean? If I have spent 5 years doing it, let's say I wasted some time in this 5 years. But if there is any other person who wants to acquire the same thought process and knowledge which I have acquired in 5 years, he would also need to start someday and then spend a lot of years. What does this mean? Okay, if you start early and gain and retain and keep acquiring more and more knowledge, there will be a very big difference versus you and the rest of the world. And if somebody else wants to become more successful than you in their lives, they have to also go through this 5 years of time. And that is the reason the successful people get even more successful, and failure gets even more failed in their life. That is where that saying is there, the rich becomes richer, poor gets poorer, because this poorer or this category of unsuccessful people is not able to put that much of time and get into that other category. The difference is going big and big and big. Okay, now what does this mean? Ki, if you start right now, it might take you a few years and then going on, but all those people who have never started, there will be a very big gap, 5 years of gap in thinking versus what you are and what they are. Okay, and nobody can purchase time. 5 years, like, you will become unbeatable if you really understand. And that is where we need to start right now. Just trying to share you the core way of thinking. Okay, if you don't start, the gap between you and other successful people will keep pushing. They will keep going more and more successful, and you will keep struggling in some other aspects. and you're just wasting time. If you're not growing, you're wasting time. Okay, somebody said this very beautiful thing: all throughout your life, either we go upwards or we go behind. There is no remaining the same. So either you grow or advance, or you get behind in life. That's the two ways of how things work. Okay. So now I think I just explained the core need of it. Okay. In order to take your knowledge to the next advancement, people have already explored a lot in the past and they have summarized it in the form of books. If you don't get knowledge, you are already starting behind in the race. Let's say 100-meter run karna hai, you are starting way behind, and like your life is going to be pretty hard in that case. Okay. And all that knowledge is in the form of books, and there is a very strong opportunity here, because 80% of the world is not going to habituate to this habit of book reading. That's based upon stats and like how people are, because comfort is more preferred than spending time in gaining knowledge. That's how the society is right now, majority of the people. Okay, so that means you have a great opportunity. Okay, now point is, all the top CEOs, if you just go to Google, it is said they complete 60 books per year. Okay, roughly it boils down to weekly one book or something. Now I'll tell you this, these are the core thoughts. The CEO is the most busiest person of any company. He has a lot to be done. Okay, they run the organization, they have so many teams, so many departments. If you really think like that, point is, we always come up with, okay, we don't have time. This is the basic stuff, we don't have time. Now point is, I just want you to change your perspective. These are the people who read 60 books a year. If And they are the busiest people versus you and me. I was wondering, come on, I'm leading a 20-member team. When I got this initial thought process, I was like, "Arey yaar, kahan hai? I don't have time. I need to lead a 20-member team in my company's life is like too much already occupied. Project is in like this state, that state." But I then saw my CEO every day, and I know how busy he was and how much work he had to do. And I know he works like very extraordinarily than what I am. And then a CEO read 60 books. This itself was kind of touching to my soul. Like, if he's so busy and he can do 60, like, why not me? Like, my statement, I don't have time, is just an excuse, nothing else. It just, they go, life may, people say it's very good. It's just not your priority. Telling I don't have time, coming up with excuse, that simply means that is not your priority. You don't want to do it. That's why you come up with reasons for saying that. Remember this statement for life. Okay. We just come up with reasons for not doing it because that is not your priority. You want to not do it, and that's why you justify it with a story. This happens at every aspect of human life. Okay, just understand that. That's really serious. If you want to do something, you will not let excuse come in the way. But internally, if you don't really want it, you will have all the problems of the world in front of you. Because of this I did not do, because, but point is, that's not your priority. It's not a do or a die situation, and you never made it that high. So I just want to tell you, initially I was knowing this power of books. Okay, and but still I did not live my lifestyle like that. Okay, but I got this case. See, you read 60 books, and he's the most busiest person, so I should do it as well. Okay, and I'll tell you some real incidents of my life which really changed my perspective. When I started leading small teams, let's say 8-member teams, I was not knowing much about leadership, about team management, about all those aspects of things. Okay. And I was really trying to get to a lot of people and other senior managers, share me knowledge and inputs, like what are the do's and the don'ts and best ways of doing stuff. And It was struggle because everybody is busy. They used to guide, but nothing concrete. But at the end result, somebody at that time told, yeah, why don't you go through books and some kind of these material on leadership, team management, and things like that. Okay. And that was the first time when life put me into a situation I was forced to read books. It was not optional for me. And because I did not know how to do it. And then somebody guided, but books have the solution already. Why are you going through this pain of analysis by yourself? And then I started reading. And now let me tell you this: books के साथ amazing. Uh, it's kind of magic, and you will only realize when you start reading books. Otherwise, you will not be able to experience that kind of difference. क्या होता है कि your perspective to look at something changes when you are reading books. Okay. For example, I'm telling you ki as I started reading the books, okay, in the mind, different thoughts start generating. Books are nothing but some thoughts, right? So when you read it, in your mind, those thoughts get generated, which were not happening by itself. Maybe you live your entire year and you will not get those thoughts which are there in the books already. So basically, what, like the way in a computer, right? You just load stuff in your RAM for execution. Like that, when you're reading books, you're just loading these thoughts in your memory for execution. And the point is, when your brain has those thoughts, the way you look at the world changes. Okay. And that's amazing. If you are understanding really what I'm saying is, day to day at office, I used to see opportunities and I used to see mistakes which other people are making and not grasping those opportunities. That was a magical experience for me when I started it for the first time. Okay, that's amazing. It cannot be maybe told. It's like it has to be lived. Okay, on the floor, I'm just seeing from a different perspective, two people talking to each other, and then I see, oh, an opportunity is created, and I saw the other guy completely missed it, and my brain was able to process it because those thoughts were running in my mind. Now that's magical. Okay, and you might be knowing this fact ki, on an average basis, 95% of the thoughts that we are thinking today are the same thoughts that we have thought yesterday. That means on an average, we all think the same thoughts. But when we read books, new thoughts, new dimensions, new perspective of looking at a life comes in our mind. And that's different. And when those thoughts run, in simple moments, you will see opportunities. How I can become more successful here. Whatever you read, your brain will think like that. So consume good books, your brain will think like that. Okay, so when I was doing leadership, time management, and these other skills of team building and executions, performance, productivity, and things like that, my brain used to see all of that around me. And then I realized others are completely not able to see that stuff. And that helped me in my career to grow a lot. There is a reason in less time I advance faster in my IT career. When there are people at the same age like what I am and currently still independent developer, a big difference in their salary, my salary, something different happened through my life journey. Okay, so that's where I just want to tell you, okay, when you read books, different thought process triggers and new opportunities, and you can see new opportunities. That is the first conclusion which I personally realized. Okay, and that was amazing. And the point is, this is what is the problem with 80% of the world. If they cannot see opportunities, how can they grasp it? And how will they become successful? So, somewhere the world is the same for all, but successful people at every aspect of life see different opportunities and then they convert it into results. Unsuccessful people don't even see that. Further, they draw conclusion ki life is hard. Life is the same for everybody, but they see at the hardships, not the solutions and the beauty part of it. So first is this. That's amazing. Okay. Now let me say, for 1 year I read the books, I implemented the techniques, and the growth of me and my team was exponential. It was just growing high, high, high. Clients were happy, projects were delivered on time, we were very result oriented, everything was upward direction. Okay, and then what happens? Just like any other person, I was like, "Arey, abhi to sab kuch aa gaya. Abhi now it's not required to read books anymore. Let's give a break." Okay, and that's where I had a second experience of life. He, after break, things did not go down. It was stable. Maybe gradually it might be going, but it was not noticeable. It was stable. So what happened is, for initial 6 months, I read books, applied a lot of techniques, and my project and me and the team grew pretty fast. Client satisfaction, hikes, packages, promotions, everything were pretty fantastic in my team for 6 months. And after 6 months onwards, okay, project was still good, clients were still happy, but yeah, time just passed by. And generally, I was doing this every year analysis by the end of the year. So I was just relooking at my full year. And then I realized that first six, the growth was like this. And last six, it was flat. What does this mean? Flat means new ideas and new experiments I was not doing with the team, with the people. Initial 6 months, I experimented a lot, did a lot of things. Later on, second half, I did not do it. So it did not take me back, but it did not allow me to succeed further also. And then I realized, okay, what changed? And the thing was, after 6 months onwards, I stopped book reading. Now, when you analyze your life, you realize what happens. Many people don't analyze, so they will never be able to know how the life is going. But just understand, for 6 months, great growth. After that 6 months, life is flat. And then I noticed that as soon as I stopped reading books, I stopped seeing those opportunities around me, and I stopped experimenting with life. And then accordingly, my results also stopped. So the conclusion of all of this activity is, book reading is a forever activity. Because as soon as you stop it, the way you look at the world will stop. Because simple, new thoughts are not coming. You are already what you know, not different things. And I give this example, right? Somewhere I came across this. Your brain is like a knowledge with a water filled. It's like a bucket. Your brain is like a bucket filled with knowledge with the hole at the bottom. Okay, a bucket filled with knowledge with the hole at the bottom. So if you are not constantly loading new knowledge, what you know also will be wiped out. Okay, and then I thought, this Bill Gates and all on Instagram, they used to share, hey, this summer I'm going to read these many number of books and all that. Then I used to wonder, these people, why do they keep reading? And then I realized maybe this is the factor. If they are not reading, their brain will not function the same way. And no matter at what age they are in, still they keep doing those activities. Okay, and that is what is the second conclusion. Book reading is a forever activity. Forever activity. You cannot stop it. So magic will first happen, and then you have to keep doing it forever. Now the thing is, all these also came, but the point where actually my life changed was this hook point. Once I went to the home of my CEO. Okay, there was something for project, and I went to his home. Some really amazing facts there. Okay, uh, one learning. He has like two children, and one is in college, one is in school. Both of them don't have mobile phones. CEO ke children, one is in college, one is in phone. They don't have mobile phones. Okay, you can imagine. Second stuff. While I was in discussions there, he showed me his library of books, and he showed me how many books he has read in the past 1 year. Okay, and that is where something stuck to me. Okay, I have heard a lot of CEOs, like Google statement, we all know 60 books per year. But when I saw that personally, a CEO in front of me, his way of living, thinking different. In office, he's different. I've seen his kind of work. He's like extraordinary, very smart man, right? And when in front of me he's sitting and he's showing me, I've read these many books in the last year. Then there is a library, like soft copy version of books, a recording version of books, and then the physical library of books. So at that time, something stuck with me. कि भाई, he's doing something different. That is where he's way ahead in our life. And if we want to go there, we cannot let excuses come in our way, and we have to do things differently. And that is where it happened like 5 years ago, 2018, 2019, that time onwards, that incident happened. And since that point, I have never stopped. Okay. So that CEO interaction just changed myself forever. वो बोलते हैं ना एक स्टेट आता है कि कुछ something inside you changes. It just came. Yeah, I thought not anymore. Okay, so these are the conclusions I would like for you to understand. Okay, if you are not doing it, you're losing a lot of opportunities in your life. Second, it is not your priority. And the point is, you're not making success as your priority. And that's a pretty big of a problem. Okay. And we should be lucky, okay, that in the current times, there are so many forms. If you don't like book reading in one variation, there are so many forms of book reading. पहले तो एक ही था, पेपर पे पढ़ लो, like take a book and purchase. Now we have hard copy version, we have soft copy, PDF files, we have books, printed books, we have PDFs, we have audio books, we have video books, we have summary as audio, as video, okay, we have blogs. Now the point is there are so many variations by which you can actually acquire this habit. Now, whatever works for you, figure out and get started. Okay. Now, point is what my personal experience was. If you start with these two, then books are pretty long. It takes a lot of time to finish, and maybe the first, and that is the reason I think many people never made this habit permanent, because every book is like 300 pages, 400 pages. Who will read that much? Okay. So, and I think that was the reason many people did not do it. But when this started coming, these other options, then it is pretty simple. Okay. And I started initially with this, and it was like Arey, nahi ho raha hai, nahi ho raha hai, stuff like that. But then I moved transition to audio. So what is my approach and my conclusion of doing this? Okay. First, my first source, I always start with audiobooks. You have to use all of this in maybe some permutation combination. Okay, I start with audiobooks. So what it is, 5 hours, 10 hours, and you can just listen it while you're doing whatever. Gym, walking down, listening. Audiobooks will just finish. 10 hours giving is nothing. You can definitely very easily manage to complete the books. Okay. And the point is you have to go through it repeatedly, multiple times. So same book I go through it like maybe five times. I don't keep a track. Whenever I feel, "Arey yaar, chalo wo wala wapas sunte." And then new thoughts. It feels like new every single time that you listen. That's different. Okay. So first is I take audiobooks so that I finish it. And then I go it multiple times to the same books. And it's easy. Like we are doing some work, you just plug it in and it just keeps happening. Okay. Another suggestion to you guys, ki, from the time I started listening to this, I never waste my time. Never. I always have this app in my phone, audible.com, with the headphones. I always have it, no matter where I am on the planet, whether I am at home or outside. Wherever I see my time is getting wasted. Okay, I'm just standing, not doing anything. I'm waiting on something. I just plug in and my time gets valuable. If I'm traveling, my time is valuable. If I'm just waiting in a lobby or lift for somewhere, My time is valuable, so I just transition all throughout the day. I never waste my time by simply plugging and then getting into the mode. Okay, so this is what I started with, this simple habit, and then started completing a lot of. Okay, now the different thing is, once let's say any book you find it very interesting, audio book mein kya hota hai, you get the thing and you just walk through it. But if you want any chapters to break it down and implement it in your life, you need to understand, books are, yes, thought generating. You will see opportunities and then you might do whatever. But if you want to implement certain concepts of the books in your personal life, then simply listening on audiobooks is not going to give you pretty solid results, because it needs deeper involvement to get these techniques into your personal life. So deeper involvement as in, you have to maybe see the technique, write, make some notes about it on a piece of paper, analyze how you can customize it to your life, which situation it can apply better, and then you apply that. And then it will not work, then you change it. And then that experimentation cannot happen if you're just listening audiobooks. So the second conclusion, if you want to strongly implement simple concepts just based upon audiobook, you can do it. But I'm saying something complicated. If you want to implement complex, implement bigger solutions from books in your personal life, okay, then second preference, I would suggest you to go to soft copy, a PDF version of book available on internet for free. You can just search it out, you will find some PDF, download it and get started. Okay, but if you want to implement some bigger solutions in your life, then go to this approach. Okay, now there will be some books which you will read all throughout your life, and those books, those what you would read all throughout your life, because books have to be read again and again, because it's like knowledge. If you don't consume it and keep revisiting, you will lose it. Okay, so all throughout your life, that you have to purchase hard copy. Okay, such cases, go, purchase hard copy. Okay, now next is, yeah, if you just want to understand it, just a summary of book ke kya bolna cha raha hai author. If you just want to understand the summary and do some quick solutions to your life, then these summary sessions actually work out. Read a blog or just a 15-minute summary of a book. Okay, but what I realized based upon my experience, there is a difference between short-term success and long-term success. With these approaches, yes, temporary situations you can solve it, but your life will not change. But yes, it is required for temporary fixing your life. If there is some problem, go to books, read a summary, acha, what he's saying, but your life will not change forever with these approaches. Okay, again, based upon personal experience, I'm saying, because one thing, understand. Okay, now this is interesting. Many people don't get this point. It's not about knowing something which makes you successful. Okay, many people, the average mind always thinks, "Arey, ye to meko aata hai. Arey, I know this." But it's not about that. Life is never about knowing something. Okay, people say knowledge is potential power. Knowledge is not power anymore in the current times, because knowledge is available for all just at a internet surf. Knowledge is potential power. You can convert it into something very big. And this is where I'm telling you, if you just learn from the perspective of knowing it, okay, that will not add much value to you. And that is what I personally experienced. Okay, in order to live a successful life, awareness is not important. You have to merge it and implement it in your life. And for that, we have to continue fully change. So the point is, I'm saying you have to read your books also in repetition. Repeat. You have to keep repeating your books. So you can imagine that is required for success. Repeating the full books of maybe hard copy, print version, audio book again and again. Then your personality will change and then the results of your life will change. Okay, forever. Permanent change will come if you repeat it full 10 hours of books again and again and again and again. Then you will change. Then you will have a permanent behavior change in your life. If you're just taking techniques, that's going to last temporarily. And you need to think long term, right? Not just today and tomorrow. Yeah, maybe something burning and go to the summary, take it, solve it, fix it. But long term win, if you want to have, the right way is spending time here. And that to repeat it 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. Just keep doing it, doing it as long as it takes. Okay? And one last thing I would like to add here. There was one book I read it before I started listening to audiobooks. Okay, let me share you. This is easy. Audiobooks is easy to finish. Okay, but before I started with audiobooks, I started with reading a soft copy of some book. Okay, and I think that is the only book in my life which I actually read it from soft copy. Okay, full end to end, like full, like 400 pages book. I read it end to end, line by line, from starting till end. And somewhere later on, after 2 3 years, I was listening to the same book but in audio form. Okay, and somewhere I was able to recollect all the ideas which I learned 2 years ago. And I was feeling कि अरे यार ये सब तो अच्छे से पता है. I'm able to remember it all just with listening. Okay, so that was, then I realized कि why this does not happen for the other books which I listen. Then I realized कि 2 years ago I read it line by line, scrolling through it on a PDF, and consumed every statement in the mind. And even after 2 years, I was listening to audio and all the thoughts I was able to get it very properly. You will not get this experience if you only listen audiobooks even 5 times, even 10 times. You will not get that. Even with repetition, if you are only doing audiobook, you will not get this experience. Okay, everything is fresh in the brain somehow. So when you see it written in text, read it line by line. If you don't understand anything, you repeat that paragraph again and again. When you do that involved reading, somewhere it stores in your mind for pretty long time. And that's a different again experience. So there is a different value in soft copies and hard copies which cannot be got in audiobooks, video books, and there is the different value in all of this which cannot be got in this. So basically every variation has its own purpose. This is what I would like to say. Every variation is important and it all has its own purpose, but more importantly for us is we need to get started. Okay, we need to get started. Whatever makes you comfortable, start with that, and as you go along the line, keep experimenting, and you will find amazing results will come in your life as well, because the top CEOs read 60 books a year. And maybe they are CEOs because they read 60 books a year. The books give them the systems by which they can take care of their mind and the full organization properly. So they are not okay, so it's not reverse. Because they are CEOs, that is where they read 60 books. No, it might be the reverse way. Because they are reading 60 books a year, their mind becomes so evolved that they are able to run an organization. Okay, that means if you acquire this habit, you will also acquire something big in your life as well. You can understand, it's very powerful. Okay, fine. So this is what I would like to say. Yeah, we just focus on this area. The point is, it was needed to have a 1 hour conversation on this, because just telling it, read a book of 1 hour, and like just telling that statement for like 2 minutes, it doesn't really create the importance of that topic. Okay, and that is where the conclusion remains: read book. But the full talk that we did today is very much required to do it on a permanent basis all throughout your life. Okay, Fine, let me paste you the attendance for today. Please continue with the remaining habits. Somebody saying please suggest some books. Okay, let me suggest you as well. One second. Okay, code for today. Yeah, please mark your attendance here, everyone. Now, let me give you the name of books which I started with, and it's really good. And I've completed many books actually. I'll give you the starting point. It becomes your self journey. Okay, what do you want in your life? Accordingly, you start consuming whatever books is in that field. Okay. So, but yes, I'll give you the starting point, which you can really get started because that might be applicable for everyone. Okay. I'm sharing my screen. Okay. ठीक है guys, देखो. These are some categories of books. Okay. Books on success, books on productivity, books on habit, books on bouncing back from failures whenever you're going through tough times. Next, books on thought process and the mindset, books on financial knowledge. Okay. So these are some of the books. Every book here mentioned, I have read it. Okay, and it's really all good. All the books here mentioned on this page is really good. I completed it, many books, many times. Okay. Plus, on top of this, there are additional also. But yeah, as a starting point, you pick up your category. Okay. For example, let me even guide you. Anybody beginning stages of books, you should read about this. Productivity is the section you should pick up because getting more results out of your life is the foundation of anything else. Okay. And because the point is, you might learn all these other techniques of becoming successful, habits and failure bouncing thought process and all, but if you don't know how to take actions on that, everything else is just waste of time. So productivity, I would say your first preference should be start with productivity if you're new to the book related domain. Okay. And then on, based upon your life problems, you then go to the other stages of books. Like if you want to know more about money and finance, pick up that section. If you're thinking thought process mindset is not good, pick up that section. If you're going through low times in your life, pick up this section. If you want to build habits, pick up this. If you want success. But yeah, the first preference is start with productivity, and then based upon your life preferences, go to something else. Okay, that is one conclusion. Now second is, you can do all the books in the same order which is mentioned here. Okay. So my first book recommendation will be, go to this, the one thing, if you have not started with any book reading habits. Okay, productivity mein jao, start with the one thing, choose whatever variation you want. Do you want to purchase a hard copy, or do you want to have a PDF version or an audio version? But point is, finish what you start. So it would be easy if you can do a first experiment. Like first, just go to YouTube, look at a summary of one thing in, let's say, 30 minutes, one thing in 30 minutes. With that, you will get first level of knowledge. Then maybe you take an audio program, which might again be available on YouTube, like free audio program for full book. It can also be there, 5 hours ka. If not there is an Audible app which I use. Every month it is 200 rupees. Okay. And it is very valuable. Like every month 200 rupees is nothing. So thoda sa, yes, and that makes me also okay. I'll tell you this last thing, why my habit became consistent. Okay, because I was trying this book reading for a long time, but why the habit became consistent is because of this paid subscription which I took on Audible. Because there were times in this 5 years, okay, I felt chalo, let's stop. But what happened is my money was always going after end of every month, be it even 200, but it was always going, and it gives like every month 200 rupees goes, it gives one credit point. With this credit point, you can purchase any book. So basically that itself is a system ki every month I can take one new book with one credit point. So I can purchase more books by paying more money there as well. But beauty part is monthly one book ka credit point milta hai, which is just with 200 rupees. So this system itself made me to do it consistently for 5 years. Why? Because there were times where I missed 2 months in a row to not take a book. But then at the back of the mind, I always had this, कि अरे यार 400 रुपया चले गया and I have not learned anything. So I have not taken any books. And then that pushed me back to go ahead, take books and then make it. So because of this monetary drainage there, I was able to stay consistent. Before that, I tried a lot of free things on YouTube, this, that, but I was never able to stay consistent. It used to come for 1 month, 2 months, and then go away. So somewhere I think with the free related systems which are available, I was not able to do it consistently. But when that fear came, I lost my 200 rupees and I have not gained knowledge. So that really forced me to be more consistent, and that's where I've done it for like past 5 years. I feel that technique is the game changer. Okay? But again, your life, your rules, you define it. And there are cases even if I get that audio book for free on YouTube and all, I don't prefer that. I go ahead paying that 200 rupees because I feel I gave something, so I deserve that value back in return as well. So that's what I started changing my perspective towards even life. There has to be like you have to give something bigger to get value out of things. Okay? So, but anyways, you start with this, you experiment. If you feel you're not getting consistent, I'll tell you that technique of giving some money is going to help you also. But yeah, first you get to that state where you realize that, and then you can start following it. Okay? Okay, fine. So my recommendation, start with the one thing, and then based upon your choices, you can go all the books in the same order you can do. Maybe you take a book, see the reviews about that, how much stars and ratings about it, and then you can get started. Okay? And that's it. This is the thing. I will paste a screenshot of this in our WhatsApp groups as well. Okay, let me share a screenshot. Okay, after the session I'll do that. Okay, ठीक है. Chalo, thank you everybody and all the very best, and wish you guys great success. Thank you. Bye bye.